Well, look there at the French expat community. Now, there's also a very large Polish community. An estimated 850,000 Poles live in the UK. For more on reaction, we can speak with Pawel Wargan, founder of Poles for Europe. Welcome to the program. Now, we heard from Poland's foreign minister saying that the vote is bad news for Europe and for the Poles living in the UK. I imagine you have a similar opinion.
Yes, well, let's just take a step back here and ask, what was the referendum really about? Because I think it was about more than just EU membership. If you look at the rhetoric of the Leave campaign, which focused on things like jobs, migration, and economic inequality, these really are issues that aren't unique to the EU. They're some of the challenges that are posed by globalization. People around the world are figuring out how to deal with them. So in my view, the implicit question wasn't, do you want to be a part of the European Union? But are you comfortable with being a part of the modern world? And I think it's unfortunate that the Leave campaign rolled up all of these issues into simplistic slogans about migration and democracy.
Indeed, but do you think it was also a failure of the Stay campaign to do a better job?
Well, yes, I think the Stay campaign was reluctant at times to highlight the really positive effects that immigration has had on the UK. I mean, it's clear from every economic analysis that immigrants bring in more than they take out. They've had an immense benefit to the UK economy and to UK society. And I think there really was a need to play a bigger role in highlighting that.
I'd like to ask you then, of course, we saw that immigration was a very bitter and divisive issue during the campaign.
Yes.
How do you think that expats now of any nationality, how do you think they feel? Do some feel less welcome in the country?
Well, I think the discussion was incredibly poisonous because a lot of the rhetoric did target immigrants and blame them for certain issues that really have nothing to do with immigration and, as I said, have a lot more to do with globalization as a whole. And so now immigrants do feel like they've taken the brunt of the blame for a lot of the economic woes faced by many Britons. And I think that will end up making them feel a little bit uncomfortable.
We saw David Cameron speaking yesterday when he announced his plans to step down. He said he tried to calm, essentially reassure everyone, saying that there will be no immediate changes for British nationals living abroad and vice versa for any European nationals living within the United Kingdom. Do you feel reassured?
Well, I think that's true, and I think it's very clear that the Leave campaign hasn't had a plan for how Britain will exit the European Union, and because there's no plan, there's no way to really foresee what effect it's going to have on immigration. I mean, we know that when they submit the notification of their intention to leave the EU to the Council, there's still a 2-year period within which European laws apply in the UK, including free movement. So there's no immediate threat legally to immigrants, but I still think that the rhetoric has really dampened the sentiment among immigrants living here.
Indeed. So it is this rhetoric that many people have been touching upon, just how divisive, how bitter, how ugly it got, and
yes,
not much of it based on fact, a lot on emotion, and that's something that we're seeing many people saying is the most dangerous aspect moving forward, because it remains, really.
It does, yeah. And there was a poll conducted recently of the feelings of the Polish community in the UK, and it found that 70% of Poles living here feel either uncomfortable or scared of what's going to happen. So there is a lot of bad feeling, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I think that's going to continue for a while until it becomes clear what happens. So
what then do we need to see from local politicians there in London and, of course, across the country to really help heal the divide, not only then of foreigners living in the United Kingdom, but, of course, among British nationals themselves?
Yeah, I mean, you're right to say that the biggest division here is between the Brits who supported Leave and the Brits who supported Remain. And that's the big divide that needs to be bridged. And I think as part of that healing process, there will be a need to explain to people that immigration, first of all, isn't bad. Immigration is inevitable. Immigration will keep happening no matter what the outcome of the discussions with the EU are. And people need to be reassured. I think there's a very important period coming up of kind of national healing, of people coming together and figuring out how they're going to move forward together.
Do you expect the result of the vote it will make Polish people think twice, really, about coming to Britain?
I think it will, and I think many Polish people that I know who live here now are having doubts about whether they want to stay.
Pawel Wargan, thank you very much for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.